and Magnolia will resume action in the PBA Philippine Cup Finals. Tonight, Game 2 happens at 6 p.m. inside the league semi-bubble. In Pampanga, TNT is seeking to extend their lead in the best-of-7 series, but Magnolia is eager to even things out with a victory tonight. The Tropang Giga successfully kept Magnolia at bay on Wednesday, thrashing the Hotshots to win the series opener, but TNT head coach Juan Banal says he expects a tougher Magnolia squad in Game 2.
Magnolia really comes out and plays with a lot of effort, so we focus our attention on making sure that we are able to match their energy and their effort. You saw what happened in the last series, right? We'd win big one game, we'd lose big the next game, we'd win. So it's, so we just have to be prepared. We have to be ready for whatever Magnolia has in store for us in Game 2.
And now joining us for an all-out preview of Game 2 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals is none other than basketball analyst Juan Banal. Juan, happy Friday. Welcome back.
Happy weekend for everybody. It's exciting to talk about another Game 2. Game 1, I don't know. Let's see where this conversation goes.
Grabe, Juan. Game 1 pa lang. Ako, as a spectator, diba, you hope for something na hindi ganon. Pero tambakan, TNT, tinambakan ng Magnolia ng Game 1. Tropang Giga led by as many as 32 points before settling for that 18-point victory. Let's talk about Game 1 first. How did TNT come out with guns blazing, just knocking right through the door of Magnolia right from the get-go?
I think there's no better way to put it than the fact that TNT beat Magnolia to the punch.
For sure.
That was like a straight punch, knocked them off their shoes. And, since then, Magnolia has, they were caught off guard. They were flat. They were stunned. And it's funny how Coach Chot Reyes said that, he's worried about the energy level of Magnolia. And it's interesting because not only did they match the energy level of Magnolia, they actually surpassed it far and beyond. And this is the result. It's like a welcome back to earth party for Magnolia. TNT was like saying, we're not a rain or shine and we're not a Meralco team, and that 20-2 run to start the first quarter was TNT's way to burst that Magnolia bubble. Since that happened, Magnolia started playing catch up and just picking up the pieces. Even the demeanor of Magnolia, it felt like they were waiting for that run, that big break to happen. But TNT played the full 48 minutes of the game. And that break never came from Magnolia.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have said it better because Magnolia just can't find their rhythm nung Game 1 na yun. They shot 27% from the field, 20% from a three-point area as we take a look at the numbers right now on our screens. Well, natalo din sila ng TNT. Even inside the paint, they were just plummeted and dominated 36-26 inside the points here. And then, this in part, syempre due to the absence of Ian Sangalang, who apparently had back spasms, and of course, Ian Sangalang had to leave the game. What happened to everyone else? As we take a look at the numbers of the big three, if we can say, but they, just combining for 7 field goals in Game 1 of Paul Lee, Calvin Abueva, and Ian Sangalang. How different was this Magnolia to the one that we saw in the quarters and in the semis?
I think one major factor, and it's a reality that I think that the Magnolia has to face, the fact that health is a definite factor. If you have 2 out of your 3 of the big 3 is actually are actually hurting, and that's Ian Sangalang and Paul Lee. There was an article that came out that he was nursing his shoulder since the semifinals against Meralco. I mentioned before, if 1 out of the 3 of the big 3 of Magnolia isn't playing well, I think the 2 other players can carry the load. But if you have 2 out of the 3 hurting, and that's leaving a whole lot of weight to be carried by one person, and that actually fell in the lap of Calvin Abueva. He actually shot 3 out of 11 in that last game. If you look at their stat line, 3 guys scored double digit, only averaged 11.5 points. That's Paulie, who was hurting with 12 points, Calvin, who had 11, and then Jackson Corpus was the other guy who had 12. So that begs the question: where was Mark Baroka? Where's Gio Halalon? Where are these guys? Diba? This was like a rude awakening moment for Magnolia. They literally were caught off guard, and now they have to do better. In the last two series with against Rainer Shine and Meralco, Magnolia, it's on the first game of that series, they will always start strong. You know, when they're facing a team for the first time in a series, they always start strong. You look at their first quarter against Rainer Shine, that's 21-14. Against Meralco, that's 22-17. You know, in a series that you have the upper hand because the opposing team will still feel you out. Magnolia, you know, usually comes out of the gate rearing and on fifth gear, but here before they could even step out of the gate, nasuntok na ni TNT, and from there they were literally at a daze. They didn't know where they were, and then trying to just recover the whole game. And you know, but it's interesting how Magnolia now is placed in a reactionary position rather than the one, you know, bringing the fight to the team. Now the fight was brought to them, and it's interesting how they will adjust and really respond to this kind of scenario.
Baroka, by the way, had just 4 points. Halalon with 3 names that you mentioned earlier. If you're Coach Chito Victolero, what do you do to avoid another situation like this? Because it's, you know, it's going to be different if you be down. It's going to be hard if you're down 2-0 here in the series against TNT in the finals.
Well, I'm not even going to look at the stat sheet because it feels like a student receiving his test paper and it's all red marks. Like if you look at the stat sheet of game 1, that's all red marks. You know, under Magnolia's belt. But I think personally, on a more human-centric level, first you have to play as if Ian and Paul will be hurting the entire series. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you're able to adjust. Right? Having them to play well will be a bonus. Now you have to start conditioning yourself. You know, you can't wait till they're okay. If as early as now you can accept that and start making the adjustments, that's going to be an advantage. And then when they come back healthy, then that's a bonus, right? Secondly, you have to you can have a bad shooting night, but you can't afford to have a poor defensive night. You know, if it happened the entire game, then the challenge is the ability to be able to adjust mid-game. And you can do that defensively. Sometimes offensively, you just really have bad nights that you can't really pick your shots. But defense, that demands effort. That demands quick read and basketball IQ to be able to adjust. And we're not just talking about the entire Magnolia team from a coach's level. It's literally adjustments player to player. They were beat on talent per talent. They were beat player to player level. And, you know, they were beat by guys like Dave Marcelo, Glenn Cobontin, and Kid Montalvo, right? So that's a challenge for Magnolia, you know?
Well, we're not sure yet if Ian Sangalang is or will be 100% and will be ready for game 2. But just in case, let's say, sabihin natin na wala si Ian Sangalang and he'll be forced to miss more time. What should now the Hotshots do to manage and try to hold down the fort without their anchor in the middle, without Ian there? And sinong nakikita mo to step up? Do you should you just put you know, the reliable veteran Rafi Rivas in there? Who do you, Jackson Corpus? Who do you see stepping up with the absence if ever mawawala nga si Ian Sangalang?
The way I see it, Andre, is that number one, we can never downplay the impact of an Ian Sangalang. Right? Ian Sangalang is a very essential part to the success of Magnolia this conference. You're talking about losing a player that averages 6.1 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists per game. And you're not only losing that kind of stat line, but you're also losing a player with a very high basketball IQ, your main post player, and the third in the best player of the conference race, right? Yeah. We are not just talking about a shift in players, because Jackson Corpus had a double-double in the last game. He kind of tried to step up and to fill that shoes. So we're not talking about a player adjustment, you know, or who to step up. I think this is a systematic shift in the offense of Magnolia, that they will now more be of a guard and perimeter-dependent team, losing your main anchor in the post. And that takes the entire system. You're going to be adjusting entirely as a team. and you're not just talking about players stepping up.
Well, Juan, we'll take a quick timeout here, but stay where you are. Juan Banal will still be with us, but have with us today basketball analyst Juan Banal. And if you're just joining us, we're doing an all-out preview of Game 2 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals between the TNT Tropang Giga and the Magnolia Hotshots, pambansang manok. Juan, kanina pinag-usapan natin na biglang nawala nga itong si Ian Sanggalang for Magnolia in Game 1. And then coincidentally, TNT also lost their big man in Kelly Williams in Wednesday's game. But he had to be stretchered out in the second half. It looked really serious there. Sabi nga ni Coach Chot Reyes na Kelly may have strained his back. So we don't know if Kelly will be all right come Game 2. But we've seen TNT play well even without their veteran big man. And they survived it for the first 4 games against San Miguel in the semis. Do you think that will be the same case here in the finals, that TNT can manage even without Kelly, if, assuming Kelly doesn't, see action in a couple of games in this series against Magnolia?
Again, we want to start this by saying, we're lifting up these players that got injured in prayer. We were praying for quick recovery, that it doesn't really get any serious. But addressing your question, I think they can. Personally, I think they can. Unlike Magnolia, TNT is ready for this, for such an incident. I know if you survive a series without Kelly, or at least half of a series without Kelly against arguably the biggest and strongest and more potent front court in the league, which is in Junmar and Motautua, then that kind of, then this won't be a problem for them. On top of that, the opposing team's main post player also may be out. So we've seen Marcelo and Aram. They have grown a lot in that series against SMB. So definitely, again, Kelly is a big loss for the team.
Yeah.
But they have been in this position before, and they played against an opposing team that had a complete front court. Now they're playing against an opposing team that is missing one of their main anchors in the post.
Well, pag-usapan naman natin yung isang, tapos na tayo, Kelly Williams, yung isa pang Williams, yung Mikey Williams. Grabe talaga eh. Mikey just really blowing us away, continue to keep on blowing us away, shooting 53% from the field. What a Game 1 performance here. Finals debut from the rookie, 21 points, 5 out of 6 from the outside, 10 rebounds, dishing out 5 assists, all in 28 minutes. Let's talk about this kid. It really seems like he's having an easier time here. Well, let's not discredit the defense of Magnolia, but iba yung Chris Ross yung buwantay sa kanya ng semis, pero ngayon walang Chris Ross na talagang hinahabol siya, and Mikey's just having a field day out there, Juan.
Well, Coach Shot mentioned that he learned a lot from Coach Chito Victorero, Coach Chito's approach against SMB, and he used those tactics for their matchup, TNT versus San Miguel. I believe the guards of Magnolia should also take a page from the book of Chris Ross. But Ross is a different, player altogether. Compared to Mark Baroca and Gio Alalon, who's probably shorter, and Coach Chito even tried fielding Lauren Brill and Ahamisi to guard Mikey Williams. Although they can match up with the speed, I think they aren't as tall as Chris Ross. That height difference allows prevents Mikey to actually just pull up from anywhere in the court. I was watching the game, and he was literally just bring down the ball, give me a foot distance or 2 feet, and I'll pull up. And even if you challenge, your arms way low. And that's what you give up when you have really shorter guys that are defending Mikey Williams, Then at some point, you even saw Calvin Abueva taking on Mikey Williams, but he was just too quick for Calvin. So, we knew that coming into this series is going to be a problem. Yeah. But after this game, what makes him scarier is the fact that he knows that no one can guard him in Magnolia. And that confidence is going to be a next level weapon for Mikey.
Parang ibang-iba, no? Nung dumaan siya kay Chris Ross, parang just bring anyone. I'll take on anyone right now. Well, moving forward in the series, okay, let's ride on that. Who do you see, if it is possible, stopping or containing Mikey Williams, yung adjustments ni Coach Chito defensively against a Mikey Williams who's an instant bucket getter?
I would say he's deadly with the ball in his hands. that's a concern. So if that's the problem, then you have to play him for the entire court. If you could deny him the opportunity to touch the ball and then see how he responds, his ability to shoot well anywhere in the floor makes him difficult to defend when he has the ball. But if you're able to deny him, maybe not get him those touches, then that probably can negate that Mikey Williams factor. For Magnolia, you take it one thorn at a time. Obviously Mikey is the main problem in game one, so take him out. Let's see how TNT responds. You can't look too far ahead and say, but this guy can also score, but this guy can also score. Then make that your problem later on. Right now, what's in front of you is Mikey Williams, and he's definitely a problem. So taking the ball out of his hands might be an element that Mikey is not familiar with. How does he respond off ball in terms of offense? Just give him a different feel of the game. You can't have him let his way for the entire ball game.
Well, Juan, before we let you go, you know what we're gonna do to you, right? Put you back on the hot seat. Kumbaga, ito na yung exam mo. Ito na yung, kumbaga, Friday exam mo before mag-weekend. First, let's find out the answer to our quiz question of the day. We'll ask one as well. And the question I asked earlier was, the TNT franchise is among the 5 teams in PBA history that have swept the finals. What are the other 4 teams? Mr. Banal, have you reviewed?
I'll go for the high percentage answer. So
Sige.
I would probably go with Alaska might have, San Miguel might have, Great Taste might have, I'll probably go way far pa. I don't know if Ginebra did it before, or Chris Par Toyota did that before. I'm not so sure without the answer. I'm at a loss, Andre. I'm at a loss.
1 out of 4. Sabi sa akin ni Cal, our producer, 1 out of 4 daw si Juan Banal. Here are the correct answers, Juan. Northern Consolidated ng 1985 Reinforced Conference. Well, I can't blame Juan. Bata pa siya, or baka di pa nga pinapanganak si Juan nito. And then Swift, back in 1992, third conference yun. Na-sweep na nila. And then Pure Foods in the 2010 Philippine Cup. And then San Miguel, you got this one correct. That was in the 2015 Governor's Cup. As for TNT, well, that franchise, they swept rain or shine to win the All-Filipino crown. That was 8 years ago, in 2013. I like it when you just... your reaction, Juan Banal. Juan, thank you again. And I hope you enjoy all these quiz questions that we have for you. Thank you for being with us on the show.
Andre.
Happy weekend. Stay safe, my brother. And we'll get back to you again next week for sure. Juan Banal, our basketball analyst, with us today.